On April 2nd, 1978, Tim Cullen dreamed that he was in a terrible car accident. Just 7 days later, April 9th, he and his friend Ken Ruberg were driving on Highway 34 when Tim realized what he was experiencing then was indeed his recent dream. Seconds later, he rolled the car 5 times, breaking his neck on the first roll. As the car finally stopped, Ken Ruberg was able to get out of the car and help Tim up and out of the ditch. Eventually, Ruberg waved down a passing station wagon, which took them to the nearest hospital. There, in the hospital under sedation, Cullen dreamed of an encounter with a UFO. After the car wreck, Tim recalled, "I thought about stopping and going back to town, but didn't." After the event, Tim was confused and healing, and in the back of his mind, he knew something wasn't right. About 6 weeks later, Tim and his wife, Janet, a registered nurse, were driving north on Highway 59 near the Vernon Road junction. They were returning home from a medical checkup in Denver. It was a dark, quiet night, and shortly after 11 p.m., Tim saw a large, dimly lit object pass in front of the car and go behind a low hill. As Tim recalled, it went out a ways, alongside, and as I brought the car down to a stop, it came back toward us a bit. I backed the car up, and the UFO went out to the west of us. It came in under the power and telephone lines and hovered over a pasture. It was about 100 feet long, 20 feet wide, and about 10 feet high. It didn't make any noise. There were 2 diffused lights that shone at the back of the craft. One a yellow light, and the other red. We couldn't see it very good. We sat there and stared at it for a while. After we looked at the 2 lights for a few minutes, I turned to my wife and told her we might as well go on to town. At the time of the sighting, Janet was 5 months pregnant with their first child, and in what was perhaps foreshadowing of things to come, the Cullens had no memory of being taken aboard the craft, nor of missing any time. As time passed, though, feelings on that and on being abducted would change. Tim recalls, "Now when I started thinking about it, when I turned and started driving, I did have an odd feeling, but it didn't really register with me. I remember coming back to Yuma, but not looking at a clock. I was kind of shocked by the whole thing. I didn't really think of looking at a clock." 2 years later, in 1980, Tim Cullen experienced another encounter, and terrifyingly, at exactly the same spot. The craft hovered, and 2 diffused yellow lights came on this time. Then one of the lights started blinking, and he stared at it. Tim remembers thinking, "This can't be happening, not right here." The craft would then keep moving in back of and out from behind a low hill. Still, that wouldn't be the family's last sighting. In 1994, with his wife and 3 daughters, Tim encountered a smaller craft with a strobe light around 40 miles south of Yuma. Tim stated it hovered off the road in front of us, and we stopped and looked at it for 5 to 10 minutes. It moved around for a while and finally went off to the north. Tim remembers his daughter's reaction specifically, stating the girls seemed mystified by it, but they were younger, and I don't really think they realized the enormity of what they were seeing. In 1998, while setting rebar on a concrete job, Tim Cullen hit his thumb with a hammer. Sometime later, he thought the finger could be dislocated, so he went to see Dr. Mark Hubner at the Yuma Clinic. The doctor suggested they take an x-ray. On returning with the film, Dr. Hubner asked, "Did you know you have a piece of metal in your arm?" At that specific moment, Tim Cullen knew what the object was and who put it in there. He knew that he and Janet had, indeed, experienced missing time on May 30th, 1978. Tim didn't think much about UFOs or alien abductions before his experiences, and had never seen or heard anything about alien implants. But after seeing the x-ray and knowing where the object in the film came from, he started exploring the internet about the subject of UFOs and alien abductions. He joined an online encounter group and learned about a man in California, Dr. Roger K. Lyer, who removed what were reported to be alien implants. Over the years, he would have multiple surgeries to remove what was believed to be alien implants. Analysis from 7 of the first 8 implants removed have shown that there's a membrane surrounding the metal core that seems to keep the metal core protected from foreign object rejection. These membranes were reddish brown and had several long perceptors, which were connected to nerve endings on one end. When a magnet was placed a half an inch from the objects, they leapt to the magnet. The 9th alleged alien implant was surgically removed from the left forearm of Tim Cullen on Saturday, February 5th, 2000. This operation was performed at a medical facility in Thousand Oaks, California. The procedure was performed by a surgical team led by Dr. Roger Lyer, and the surgery by Dr. John D. Matroscano. "I know nothing about UFOs or implants," Dr. Matroscano said after the operation, "but I think that what's needed in this case is to be objective." Removal of the small melon seed type implant went very quickly and smoothly. The operation was videotaped by the Learning Channel for an upcoming show. At a MUFON board meeting, Tim would see the videotape of the object that was removed, which was shot through a microscope. The object was about 7 centimeters long and 4 centimeters wide. Tim Cullen has become very outspoken about his experiences and about the object that was recently removed from his arm. Unlike others who have had implants removed, Tim has allowed his name to be used in the press and has given out his phone number. On returning to Yuma after the implant removal, Cullen told a story to Yuma's local paper, the Yuma Pioneer, and addressed both the congregations of his Catholic church and his wife's Presbyterian church. He has also been on the Art Bell Dreamland show with Dr. Roger Lyer and host Whitley Strieber. Tim has become an inspiration for people who have been abducted. While at one of the church presentations, a woman reached out and touched Tim's sleeve. "My husband and I know exactly what we've been through." Another man emailed Tim and told him of an experience he had had. Tim recalls, "I'm coming forward because someone has to put a face to the alien stories, because more people to come forward. The more people we can find with implants, the more evidence we're going to have. We can study things a lot more and get things done, get rid of the stigma around them. The events that have happened to me over the past 27 years have had an enormous effect on my life and what I believe. In a short time span, it was revealed to me that we are not the only intelligent life in the universe. It was also proven to me that God is with us always, without a doubt. While Tim's story certainly shares features of other alien abductees, many skeptics point to the fact that he put his name out there and appeared to be seeking attention with the matter. Still, people who know Tim and know his family stress they are regular, hardworking, honest people. Regardless, Tim has become a hero for many abductees who refuse to come forward with their own personal stories.